So this is an article here that I want to read. Um, and Bitcoin's been sinking, right? It's been crashing pretty hard. I think right now, well, I can't really see it on here, but oh yeah, here it is. Right now it's at 108. So that's the current Bitcoin price. So yeah, so that's the current price for Bitcoin. It actually, like, I think last maybe 2 weeks ago, it actually hit like all time highs and was at like 124, something like that, maybe 128. It went up pretty high, and then this week it crashed, right? Not just Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies as well. And it's kind of funny because I remember I made that one video talking about how the whales, like, there's certain people that hold a large amount of Bitcoin, and when they start selling, the price of Bitcoin is going to drop. Okay, when they start selling, because a lot of people have bought at the highs, like the 124, 125, whatever, and they're using you, the person who purchased the Bitcoin at that high, as liquidity, as a point to basically exit their position. Okay, so that's why you're seeing this happen. They're called market makers, and that is not just cryptocurrency. It's not just Bitcoin. It's every asset. When you have certain percent, like the top 5%, top 1% of people, and they have hundreds of millions of dollars, or in Bitcoin, right? Whenever they do something, it's gonna have a large effect on it, and that's just something we have to live with when it comes to wealth distribution, and just the times that we live in our society, where a small demographic can hold a large amount of assets, and cause shifts in the pricing. And that's not just Bitcoin. That can also be in stocks, right? Because again, these CEOs and people that own these stocks and everything like that, like Elon Musk, right? He has a certain stock package or stock portfolio of Tesla, and which is astronomically high, right? And if he was to start selling his stocks, like actually selling them, that would drop the stock price. That's a fact. That would drop the stock price because he's selling, and less people are buying. So that would drop the stock price, right? So that's why a lot of these people, they don't sell their stocks. What they do is they borrow against it, in order to, again, there's two things. When they sell their stocks, they do have to, pay taxes on those stocks. So a lot of them don't want to pay taxes, so they don't sell. And that's actually a positive thing for the stock market, because it kind of stops a lot of these whales and stuff from, I guess you could say, crashing the market because of these, because of the taxes and the penalties and et cetera, right? So what they do is they just borrow against their stock portfolio in terms of debt, and you can't tax debt, right? But when they do sell, and that's why Elon Musk, like a couple years ago, he sold a bunch of Tesla, and he paid super high in taxes, like extremely high. And a lot of them don't sell. So that's why you don't, you do see correction with stocks, but it's not as drastic as you see with Bitcoin, right? Because of those barriers. And I'm not sure, I'm sure Bitcoin has those barriers as well, but it's still a smaller market cap than the entire stock market, right? Or certain things. So that's what we're looking at here, right? So Bitcoin is at 108. And again, I made a video telling you guys, like, look, man, you're going to have to be able to stomach stuff like this if you want to put your money into, and again, you kind of have to at this point. You can't hold dollars. You really can't. The thing that, if you don't want to invest, the only thing I can say is use your money to start a business. Use your money to start a business that'll be profitable for you, and everything like that. Don't just use your money to buy, things or buy liabilities or anything like that. Use your money that can actually create more income for you. And that's the thing, why people buy assets like Bitcoin or the stocks or gold or silver, because they increase in value over time, right? So if you don't want to deal with that, then use your money to start a business, okay? So Bitcoin, again, you guys have to stomach things like this. And this is actually a good buying opportunity if you have money at 108. That's a good buying opportunity for Bitcoin. You guys should put some money into, because it is going to go up. Again, Bitcoin is going to go up. The only thing concerning I would say about Bitcoin to me is how strong is the, what I'm saying, the 21 million cap, right, of Bitcoin. Because see me, that's the thing that's holding Bitcoin up. Is that's like the number one thing. The fact that it has a cap of how many Bitcoins can be produced. Okay? Because when you have a cap on something and you make it scarce, that again increases the price, right? You can look at that with Jordans. When you have like limited Jordans, right? And those increases the price of those Jordans. Same thing that Rolex does, right? So Rolex, they tend to overproduce. What they don't do is they don't sell all their products, right? They don't put them all out there for sale. They like hide them, store them, destroy them, whatever that they do, because they want to keep the value of their product. They don't want to have too much in circulation, right? Same thing with Bitcoin. And that's the exact same thing with Bitcoin, right? It's the cap is at 21 million, but if anything happens where the government can take control of it, or the unanimous decisions between the people mining or the developers, then they could potentially break that. And then, I don't know how easy that would be or how difficult it would be to break something like that, and then produce more Bitcoin in circulation. And then at that point, then Bitcoin is pretty much toast. So I would say Bitcoin is still a strong asset to hold, because I think there's a specific date that all 21 million should have been mined. I forgot. I think it's like maybe 56 years from now. So you want to hold it until then or around that time. That's perfectly fine. I would say that you should still buy Bitcoin and hold it for that time period. Of course, because, you still have a long runway until the last Bitcoin is pretty much mined, okay? So you don't want to miss out on 60, 50, 60, or however many years worth of potential gains just because you're scared that some developer may break the whatever. And I don't think it's going to happen I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if it does happen, it'll probably be somewhere like later down the line of Bitcoin and society. So yeah, so looking at this article, and so Bitcoin has been dropping. All cryptocurrencies have been dropping. There's been a lot of selling from the big wigs. They're selling their crypto. They're selling their Bitcoin, and a lot of these crypto. I don't invest into cryptocurrencies like the meme coins. All I do is buy Bitcoin, right? That's what I invest into. That's a cryptocurrency. It's Bitcoin, right? Because these meme currencies are even worse because there's less of a market cap for them, right? And that means that the early investors, the angel investors, the developers that made it, these people, they own those cryptocurrencies at the point of inception when they're when they cost pretty much nothing. So they pretty much have an upside when people buy into them, right? And when people continue to buy into them, they can sell and sell and sell because your money is becoming their liquidity, okay? So those cryptocurrencies, the meme coins, I don't touch them because I already know that they're a wealth extraction. They're just trying to take money from you and give it and take it and bring it to themselves. They're not trying to do anything for you in particular. And if you can potentially play the game at the highest level, that's on you. But again, to me, it seems like a losing battle because you can't get it at most people hear of certain things whenever it's pretty much at the tail end of something. A lot of people aren't hearing things when it's initially just created, right? So you're already losing a battle before you even really start, okay? So that's all I said. There's really no point in investing into meme coins, not in my opinion. But again, that's up to you as an individual. So when Bitcoin is sinking, but gold and silver are going up. Okay, and same thing. The stock market is crashing. Gold and silver is going up. All right. So gold and silver, gold, silver. It's been money for you know for for however long existence have been existing, right? So gold and silver has been money for a very long time because gold and silver meets the property of money. All those properties where it can't be destroyed, and it doesn't tarnish over time like that, and it's divisible. You can carry it. Like it meets the properties of money to where it's always that's what it's always been. And then you cannot create gold, and I don't believe you can create silver either. So people can't create gold or silver. You can create diamonds in the lab, facts, but you cannot create gold. You cannot create silver. If we're being honest, alchemy, the entire concept of alchemy is to create gold, right? That's the concept. That's the concept of alchemy is for them to try to create gold, but you can't. You can't create gold. Okay, gold is a substance that is created through nature in the earth. There's no way to replicate that. And then also it takes effort to mine gold. It takes effort to mine gold. Gold has properties that are useful, right? It has properties that are useful, and there's a lot of things that is useful with gold. And same thing with silver. Silver is used in a bunch of products and tech stuff and equipment. So as we can see here, gold is at $4,349, and here this article is from Yahoo Finance, and they're talking about Bitcoin sinks with safe haven bets, clearly favoring gold after crypto washout. Right? So yes, so what we're all witnessing is gold is continuing to rise, but everything else is going down, right? And you would think that people would assume, and it'll probably make them feel more comfortable if Bitcoin was to also rise in the same concept as gold, but it's not. And again, that again is is because of those intrinsic properties that gold has, and basically it's been money for a very long time, and people feel as though gold is a safer investment. And again, the more the US dollar gets devalued over time, the higher gold in every asset is gonna go. That's for every asset. That includes, home ownership. That even includes vehicles that people don't understand. Yes, vehicles are a liability, but they are also somewhat of an asset because you need vehicles to get from point A to point B. So they're not just a liability because of they mass produce them and no, it's not just that. They also you also need them in order to transport. So a lot of things are gonna go up because the money itself is literally getting devalued again because of how much is in circulation. We're printing so much money in circulation, literally can make money out of thin air that it literally doesn't mean anything, right? So the only thing that means something is gold and silver and Bitcoin and houses and certain Rolexes and certain other things, right? Art, right? Certain things that has some sort of a value to it. So yes, so again, the money is getting devalued. Gold is continuing to rise. I remember in 2020, I saw gold at like 1,800 or something like that, maybe even less. I think it was like 1,500. It was even less probably. And I was like looking at it. I was telling people to buy gold. I was telling people to buy silver too. But some people people don't listen, or people just don't feel like it makes sense. To me, it always makes sense to have gold. It always makes sense to have silver because even if your money goes down or it doesn't go up fast enough or whatever, at the end of the day, gold is still money. Like it's still money. So if you want to sell your gold, you can always retrieve whatever currency that that's there in circulation. Like you can take gold to anywhere, to any country, and sell it, and you'll get back currency for it. You know, it doesn't like gold will never go to zero. It's literally impossible for it to go to zero. Um, so that is why it really doesn't matter how like the price range you purchase gold in, because it's always going to have value. Okay, wherever you go, it's gonna have value. And that's just a fact. So, but gold is at 4,349. The only thing I would say with that is, um, I think maybe it might be too high to buy right now. And again, you know, gold does work kind of the same way other assets work, like how I just discussed with Bitcoin, how there's people who have serious money and they're able to purchase a large amount of gold, which is then causing the price to go up. And if they start selling their gold, right, in order to then, you know, use that money to then get into something else, that will also drop the price of gold. Gold still works like that in that market because, again, um, you know, we live in a free market. That's just gold's going to work like that, and it's free, but there's only a certain number of people that can afford to move the market in that type of way. There's only certain people that can move the market in that way. You have to own a lot of gold and be selling a lot of gold. But at this time, I don't think there's going to be many people selling gold because a lot of countries are buying and stockpiling gold. A lot of them, right? China, Russia, India, a lot of countries are stockpiling gold. The US stockpiling gold, okay? So that is why we're not seeing a lot of these sell-offs, because at the end of the day, there's countries that are buying gold. Gold is a global commodity. Like there's a country, it's not just a certain, no, it's a global thing. A lot of countries own reserves of gold. So they're buying them. So we're not seeing these whales sell off like that because they're just the buying pressure is too high as opposed to the selling, you know? And that's just what it is. If you do want to get something that you could afford, I would say get silver. Silver is still reasonable. It's at $50. It's probably going to go up to $100 probably very soon, but silver is still reasonable. And people notice that silver is still reasonable, and there's going to be a lot of people buying silver right now, okay? It's still reasonable. I would say once it gets to 100, less reasonable, but still reasonable, because at the end of the day, what did I say earlier? Silver is still money. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. If you want to sell your silver, they will give you the native currency for your silver. Okay? So silver is still useful. You know, so yeah, it's $50, but that's cheaper than gold. You know, I used to tell people, if you want to get into gold, and you want to get it in a cheap way, I always tell them buy the 1/10 of an ounce. I don't think there's nothing wrong with buying 1/10 of an ounce because you still own gold. I don't care. Yeah, the what is it called? The stock price or whatever it's called, maybe higher because you're buying it in 1/10, right? You're paying a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you still own gold. So who cares? You're losing more of your cash is being devalued constantly, right? You know, but yeah, you're still getting the gold, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if I'm doing 1/10 of an ounce and I'm buying it a little bit more expensive because they're what is it called? I think it's a stock price or it's called something that because of that it's more expensive. Okay, so 1/10 of an ounce is good. I think 1/10 of an ounce right now would be like $500. I think something like that, probably. So if you know, I remember when you could have bought 1/10 of an ounce of gold for like $200, like $100 and something dollars, like literally like 5 years ago. So if you bought 1/10 of an ounce 5 years ago for like $100 to $200, now you can literally sell your gold for like almost $500. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, let's be for real here, guys. So this article basically is comparing, you know, Bitcoin versus gold, right? So here, let's read what this is saying. So Bitcoin BTC USD has had a rocky first half of October so far. The world's largest cryptocurrency surged to start the month as investors sought a hedge against U.S. government shutdown uncertainty. Right, I told you guys. Last Friday, it plunged from 121,000 as low as 104,000 following President Trump's threat of 100% tariff on Chinese goods. A lot of things crashed because of that. The only thing that didn't crash was gold. Well, I think it did a little bit. It did go down actually a little bit, but not much. Bitcoin descent was particularly notable against the backdrop of gold, which has climbed to new all-time highs past $4,300, and it's up 17% in the past month. Bitcoin, by comparison, has yet to recover from Friday's losses and is down 8% in that period. Right now, capital is clearly favoring gold due to its momentum and reduced volatility profile. Sean Farrell, head of digital asset strategy at Fundstrat, told Yahoo Finance, there are also structural buyers in central bank, which provides a quasi-backstop to the trade. He noted that investors are likely to eventually rotate into Bitcoin from gold since the precious metal tends to front-run crypto. Okay? On Thursday, Bitcoin was trading around 108,000 per token. Wall Street veteran strategist Ed Yardeni explained its precipitous drop last week in a note on Wednesday. The crypto derivatives ecosystem exacerbated Bitcoin's recent fall. So he just wanted to put big words in there and make people have difficult time trading. During the abrupt drop, liquidity dried up with over 19 billion in liquidations across crypto futures and leveraged positions. I'm telling you guys. See? Traders also noticed whales who pocketed 192 million short in Bitcoin ahead of sudden crash, a move that could have been exasperated that could have exasperated the selling. The same wallet placed another bearish bet Sunday. Look at this. How? Market manipulation at its finest. Market manipulation at its finest, and they do that for every asset. It's not just Bitcoin. It's not just stocks. It's also gold. They manipulate gold prices. They manipulate silver prices. They manipulate home prices. They manipulate every single thing. All these people want to do is make money. Don't forget that. All they want to do is make money. That is it. They don't care. I'm telling you. They don't bring nothing valuable to the world. All they do is trade and want to make money. That's it. All right. So I think I'm done with the Bitcoin and gold here.